Hi all, and welcome to All Systems Go. In our session today, we will be talking about application performance, also known as APM, and Netreo's APM offering called Retrace. Just as a way of introduction, my name is James Michaelis, and I'm a product manager at Netreo, mostly focused on the Retrace product and everything APM related. And as we speak on the importance of APM, we will also touch on some important upcoming product updates related to Retrace, and then we'll take a quick long-term look at the future of APM as it relates to Netreo as a whole. And if any questions come up during this session, please don't hesitate to ask away in the chat system, and I will try to get to those questions the best I can. So as a product manager, one of the main goals I have is to quickly and effectively deliver useful features to all of our customers. For any project that I'm involved in, I have the privilege to work closely along with our customers with the engineering, operations, and support teams throughout the lifecycle of a particular feature. While I'm not dedicated to any one of these phases, I, along with the product managers on our team, do get to see a product or feature go through the lifecycle while working in an agile environment with different departments of the business. In the world of agile development, the goal is to make continuous improvements and iterations, and obviously be agile, adaptive, and flexible throughout the whole development lifecycle. Here we can see a graphic of the DevOps lifecycle that outlines each of the phases or iterations of software development for any given business. Tying this graphic to Netreo as a monitoring tool, historically, we can see that the main focus has always been on monitoring infrastructure, systems, devices, networks, applications, and much more by collecting trends, establishing baselines, and reporting incidents related to the overall business impact in your technology stack. In Netreo's past, the sweet spot has always been providing solutions for the monitoring and operations phases of the lifecycle. And before I start talking about the future of where Netreo is going in relation to APM, I'd like to cover some of Netreo's other offerings that we do have today. Here are the three products that together make up full stack monitoring. To go along with Netreo's infrastructure monitoring solution, we also have Prefix and Retrace that emphasizes the application performance monitoring space. You can see a deep dive of Prefix and its capabilities in a later session today, but as a quick summary, Prefix is a tool that developers use as they write their code locally on their workstations. And the goal is to catch as many bugs or performance issues well before a production deployment would ever happen. Using Prefix is a great way to proactively write better applications and catch any issues before your customers experience them. And Retrace is Netreo's APM solution that focuses on application health and performance for your entire pre-prod and production environments. And unlike Prefix, it's more geared towards teams and enterprises. And we'll dive into some of the core features of Retrace here shortly. Now, as we look at the same graphic before, we can see the roles that prefix and retrace fill together and how they can work hand in hand with the Netreo IM solution. And this also represents what we mean when we say full stack observability. In order to properly manage the performance of your entire infrastructure, you need visibility into every piece, including applications. So what is Retrace? While the crux of Retrace is APM, we've taken a broader approach to what an APM solution can do. Retrace includes a number of tools and advanced features that DevOps teams really need when it comes to ensuring great user experience and improving their applications generally. These four core components, app scores, code level tracing, error and log management, and errors and notifications are some of the crucial parts of delivering the insights that you need to monitor your application's health and performance. So first up are app scores. In any APM tool, the main purpose is to measure the health and performance of applications that are being monitored. Specifically, Retrace's goal is to answer questions like, why is my app slow? Why did it crash? Or why is it behaving strangely? App scores are a great way to roll up some of these important data points, such as app CPU percentage, the number of app-related errors happening, the overall user satisfaction scores of your applications, and more into a single A through F letter grade. And being able to see these grades for all your applications in one place, along with all your services, are a great way to see how your stack is doing at a high level overall. And once these grades have been populated for your apps or services, you can then add the app scores to a custom dashboard, and you can see how they are trending, whether good or bad, or even see a more detailed breakdown of each component that shapes that score. Next up is code level tracing. And in general, for every application that's being monitored, we capture some basic pieces of data, such as health stats, like CPU or memory percentage of the host hosting the application, performance stats, which could be requests per minute, or the length of the average request time or satisfaction scores of an application, or error stats like error rates or new and repeating errors for an application. In addition to all of that, however, we also collect and display trace data that gives a more detailed snapshot of an actual occurrence of a request. For example, if my application has a shopping cart function in it, Retrace can profile everything that happens in the code at the code level for an actual user loading that request. In this performance view, we can get an idea of how each request of an application is performing. In a breakdown waterfall type of view, you can see how many database calls are being made and how long they take. You can see how many frameworks or modules are being loaded and what they are. You can pinpoint when and where exceptions might be happening in your application. And you can see how long each component of the request is taking. You can even add additional insights by configuring your server to collect real user monitoring data, so you can see how each user is experiencing different parts of your application specific to that user's browser, device, or region. So in just a few clicks, you can go from this high-level app view through app scores, like we just discussed, all the way down to an extremely detailed code level view through trace views in this performance module. And then we have errors and logs, which is just as important to application health. Collecting errors and logs brings a lot of needed context into understanding performance problems and bugs that might be happening in your applications. Understanding the trends and rates of application errors are crucial to monitoring in general. In Retrace, errors that occur for the first time are classified as new errors, while errors that have been resolved in the past but occur again following a deployment are classified as regressed errors. And being able to see the movement of new and regressed errors by an application following a deployment, I can say from personal experience, is very valuable in understanding how applications are behaving. In our own internal teams, we rely heavily on logging and error capabilities, especially following production releases. Additionally, viewing a detailed error occurrence page can help developers get the context that they need to quickly fix an exception. Retrace will show all the contextual data that a developer might need, such as stack trace data and web request details, along with a number of other related fields that can help correlate why incidents might happen. And we also have alerts and notifications, which is another core part of Retrace. So being able to configure alerts for your monitored applications and services by assigning different thresholds like warnings, criticals, and outages are very helpful to being on top of application outages. For example, if you have an SLA in place for your application and wanted to be alerted as soon as an SLA for your app dipped below, say, 97% satisfaction, for example, a good practice might be to set up a warning level and critical level thresholds, and then an outage level at anything below that 97% or something along those lines for a satisfaction score monitor, as shown here. Notifications are how you get notified of an alert. Groups can be set up, as well as escalation rules based on severity for on-call rotations. Notifications can be delivered to your phone via text or via email, as well as through a number of different integrations with messaging services like Slack. And this is another example of something our Retrace team uses internally, so we can ensure that we're on top of monitoring all of our environments. Now, as we have toured some of Netreo's current offering of APM through Retrace, let's take a look at what the future holds for Retrace. In the short term, we're trying to boost the offering by introducing several new features, such as percentiles, which you see here, which will allow you to easily visualize all your outliers of the application requests and drill into them if needed. One problem that we have, that you can have in any monitoring tool, is having averages smoothed out. So depending on the data set that you're looking at, it's hard to see what the outliers are. And in other ways, outliers can really affect what the actual experience is for an application. So we believe that percentiles is a good solution to identifying the outliers and drilling into them if needed. Another feature that we're looking into right now is email dashboard reports, which we think will allow for improved proactive monitoring through being able to analyze performance trends. These will be reports that go directly to your inbox, and you can compare week to week, and you can start seeing trends over time. And we think that this will really help with proactively monitoring all your applications. We really think that these two new additions will help move the needle forward when it comes to reporting on existing performance data that Retrace already collects today. Another area that we're exploring is adding open telemetry support into Retrace to enhance extensibility and standardization of trace output. Ultimately, supporting open telemetry will help ensure that we are using industry standards and best practices. It will also help extend and expand the types of applications that we can support thanks to the great community behind OTel. If OTel interests you, be sure to check out the prefix session, Open Telemetry, a Developer's Story, as we're expecting to implement OTel in prefix first. Now that we talked about some of the short-term things that we're looking at, we can start focusing on what the long-term future looks like. And this is where we really get to start to build a future and vision of integrating some of the core parts of APM into Netreo's IAM product. Considering Netreo's history in the operations and monitoring space, like we discussed earlier, and the recent acquisition of Stackify that brings Prefix and Retrace into the fold, there's a lot of growth and potential that we see that can be made on the application monitoring front. We have found many of our customers that would like better awareness of how their business critical applications are performing, especially in relation to their entire IT infrastructure. These applications can range from homegrown internally developed applications like what Retrace typically monitors to third-party applications used across different parts of the business. And really the questions that we're trying to answer here are things like, how do we incorporate some of the core parts of APM that we just covered in Retrace and integrate them into the IAM platform? What does an operational view of APM look like across the whole business? And how can we bridge the gap between more of a developer-focused tool like Retrace and an operational-focused tool like Netreo IAM? And while we're still actively planning for the future, we have identified a number of objectives we're trying to accomplish to help solve some of these questions. We envision some things like being able to know the current state of your most critical applications and systems in an up or down perspective, receiving notifications when any business critical app is down, being able to track the trends and history of applications over time, and then being able to view and manage all of your applications in one place across your whole infrastructure. So these are all fundamental objectives that we're working towards building when it comes to the future state of APM at Netreo, and it's something that we're all excited for what the future brings. So again, I'd like to thank you for attending this session of All Systems Go.
Running. Running.